My first was when my family moved here in 1962, and I lived here for 16 years before moving to California. And then when I came back from California in 1985, my wife and I bought the house that we're currently living in, and that was 33 years ago. So about 48 years now. You know, I come from a family of 12 kids, and my father moved us from our little bungalow in Oceanside over to a big house on McKinley Street down in the harbor. And my father was at the time a police officer, but he had just passed his bar exam, and he opened up his law office right over here in the white building down the block, which was once called Kranzler Real Estate. And he had his office there. Then he moved it over to the Koch building on Sunrise Highway. And Henesy, Kerwick, and Hodges was the law firm that was up on the second floor. So he was well established here as an attorney in Baldwin, and which is the reason we did very well, and we became very involved in the church and in other areas of the community at that time. On the street, something that no one ever does anymore. We played on the street. We took a stick, we would break my mother's broom and have a broom handle, and that's what we'd use as a bat. We used anything we wanted for our bases. We used somebody's car door for third base, and we played baseball in the street. We played football in the street. We played kickball in the street. We were fortunate because we had a big property, and we had a lot next door to our house. And that became our playground as well. And then there are the memories of going down to Harbor School, which is now the district office. And we would play stickball down there off the building. So we had a lot of fun growing up here in Baldwin. But we were, very concentrated to that area where we lived. We didn't, wander around to North Baldwin or anything like that. But everything that we had was right there, and we were playing all the time, well, every day and outside. It was a lot of fun. Well, I think my best memories were when I was working at the delicatessen that was near my house. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. It's called Harbor Delicatessen now. But when I started working there, it was called Otto's Delicatessen. And my best memories are working there and meeting the people the customers that came in there, and we had a lot of fun. I went through 4 owners of that store, and each one brought their own little personality and their own little crew of people. And I was with Otto's Deli for many years, off and on for many years, whether it was part-time or full-time. I worked even full-time as a college student there. A lot of the things that, a lot of the people that I met and a lot of the things that bring back a lot of memories have to do with the things that happened while working and off hours as well at Harbor Delicatessen, at Otto's Delicatessen. We admittedly were a devout Catholic family, and because of that, we went to St. Christopher's School, and then most of my family members went to Catholic high schools after that. I had a brother, 2 brothers, and a sister who graduated from Baldwin High School. I don't know how they were able to get out of going to Catholic school, but they did that. Most of our activities, most of the things that we were involved with were church related. Although my brother, my older brother who graduated from Baldwin High School was very involved in the sports and in the social activities here at the high school. But at that time I was a young kid and I really didn't know about that stuff. So again, it was more rotated around St. Christopher's than it did the Baldwin community as a whole. Um, in Baldwin, back when I was a child growing up here, and all the way up until about maybe even after I bought my house, Baldwin wasn't the diverse community that it is today. And that is the significant change in the community. There is much more diversity. We are represented by many, many different types of people with many different backgrounds, many different ethnicities and races. And I find that a very positive thing about the community. To have that type of representation is very, very important, and one that I think that there are a lot of communities who kind of pride themselves on the fact that they don't have to be that well represented. I think they're missing that, and I think that's very important. That's the biggest change for Baldwin. I'd say the other big change in Baldwin is unfortunately, is the loss of small business. That has been a tremendous, has had a tremendous effect on Baldwin, as it has on many communities. But there are neighboring communities right here on the South Shore that have thrived on their local businesses. Unfortunately, Baldwin isn't one of those, and that's always eluded me, and it's always eluded me that our leaders, our political leaders, have really not taken that to task in any shape or form. You know, I kind of kid around with the people that hold political offices here in the town of Hempstead and in Nassau County, and I often refer to Baldwin as the ugly stepsister. It's unfortunate, and you know, but I've always felt that the polling booth, you know, the voters' booth is really where the difference is going to be made. If we have to get people who are going to take the initiative to do something about this town, and I'd really like to see that happen. Well, with two young children, when we moved into Baldwin in 1985, I was very involved with the PAL, which is a terrific organization. I did a lot of things for them. I was a commissioner of their youth basketball league. I was a coach for the basketball and the baseball. I did a little coaching for the Baldwin baseball league as well. And the kids, of course, were involved in a tremendous amount of sports. As an older person, I have been more involved in my own work. You know, I'm usually busy with work, and it's something that I have not really been involved with. I can't tell you how terrific that is. I have been following it from the time they had gone up there, and I think it's a wonderful, wonderful accomplishment for them, and I think it says something about the community and the potential. You know, I look around. I've heard a lot about this studio as well, and I've heard a lot of good things about some. Plaza School was just recognized by New York State. And you know, those are the kinds of things that I see and the kinds of things that I know show that there's tremendous potential for this community, and one that remains untapped. Again, it's a mystery to me. There's so much this community can offer, and that championship is a great accomplishment, and I just hope it continues throughout the whole entire athletic department. What would you like to do with $1 million? I don't think that that's the solution. I think multifamily housing is the solution to to some of the problems that we have. We have to build apartment buildings here. We have to build apartment buildings. We have to make them at affordable rates for some and market rates for others. And by doing that, we're attracting both a group of people that can assist in this community, and we're also helping those who can't afford places of their own. It was quite by accident. When I came back, I moved to Freeport, and I was living there when I met my wife. And my best friend, who is still out in California, his family knew of a house right next door to them that had gone on sale. And Patty and I, my wife Patty and I, we decided to buy that house, and we've been living in it ever since. I always say that I'm in the 33rd year of my 5-year plan. Well, the school culture here in Baldwin High School is a little bit different from the school culture that I had as a student at Maria Regina High School, which is now Kellenberg High School. So I really don't know how much different it would be there. I will tell you that the culture is the significant difference in the culture is attributed to the technology. The fact that what that offers the students and what that offers the teachers as well. So a lot of the dynamics that were more teacher-oriented back then have become kind of like a combination of both. It's now the teacher and the student. That interaction is much closer than it was when I was a student, and I attribute that to the technology. I think the students are probably helping the teachers more than the teachers helping the students sometimes with the technology. But you know, when I was a student in high school, you know, we didn't have the technology. I mean, the most advanced technology we had was an overhead projector, and
I'll still take that on any day.
yeah. Do you guys even know what an overhead projector is? Oh, okay. And so you know, that was the extent of our technology back then. And of course, I don't even have to tell you how much that's changed. Oh, that's a good question. I'm a photographer, and so I will pack up my stuff and I'll go down to Baldwin Park, and I'll, you know, take photographs off the, you know, of the cove in that area. I do a lot of that, and photography is my hobby. That's what I do outside of my full-time position. As a matter of fact, I make money on the side as a photographer. But you know, Baldwin has provided a lot of different photographic opportunities for me, you know, throughout the 5 or 6 years that I've been involved with it now. And that's how I spend my time, my free time.
So, what is your vision for Baldwin?
My vision for Baldwin, well, I've kind of alluded to it a little bit already. You know, Baldwin's future depends on a population that is not only diverse in its people, but also in its economy. We have to start attracting professionals, young professionals, that are choosing other communities because there isn't the opportunity here in Baldwin for them. Let me just kind of elaborate on that. When somebody first starts out after they graduate from college and they get married and things like that, you know, there's 2 ways you can go as young adults without children, or young adults who are living together. Let's call it what it is. And we have to attract those people here. They're being attracted to other communities. They're choosing other communities. And they're choosing communities with lots of apartments close to the railway station. When you get those people in here, into those apartments that are close to the railway stations, and you start building businesses for those people, that's where it's going to work. That's my opinion. I really believe that housing, affordable housing and market rate housing, are the way to go. And I'm not only telling you that because now I'm in real estate development and management, but I am telling you that because that is a reality. We need people here in Baldwin to spend money in local business, and that's how you're going to do it. What's one of the things that hasn't changed in Baldwin? And when I walked in, I noticed the first thing I noticed was that giant mural on the wall. I mean, what interplanetary visitors came and painted that thing? I mean, what were they thinking about? But it also gives you an idea of how much Baldwin has changed if you take a look at the picture. Yeah. Well, you know, and my sons went to Plaza School, and one of the things that I was really surprised about at Plaza School was I walked into that gym, and they had pictures of athletes all over the walls in the gym. All over the walls, they had pictures of all the male athletes. And I just, what happened here? Somebody got mixed up with the signals on that one. Sure, my sister, I mentioned one of my sister graduated from here, and I remember sports night when she was younger. She graduated from Baldwin High School in about 1969 or 1970, and I remember her, that whole scene, you know. And the other thing that they do, I don't know if they still do this. Do they still make carnations for birthdays? Did you ever hear that? That tradition? When the kids had their birthdays, the girls would make these giant bows and put dog biscuits and bubble gum and lollipops and all this.
No, we just bring balloons.
That was one thing. And the other thing is, I was talking to somebody about it the other day. You know, there's the concern of the gangs, not here in Baldwin, because I have not really heard a lot of reports of gang membership here in Baldwin, but in other communities. And when I was a young guy, we had fraternities, and that was the big thing. These guys were the most innocuous gang members you've ever heard of in your life. They were harmless. And but you know, to be a member of a fraternity back then, that was a big deal. I don't know exactly what their mission was. It was just a bunch of group of kids that just hanging out together, but they called themselves fraternities. As a high school student, I was incredibly shy. I was horribly shy. And because of that, I really didn't associate well with a lot of people. You know, I did have my my close friends, but my friends growing up in Baldwin were at the church. We had the St. Christopher's Teen Club was a big social group for me, and all of the friends, if not, I mean, all of my friends right now, I met through that club, directly or indirectly through that club. That St. Christopher's Teen Club. We put on shows, we held events, we did the parades, we did the whole thing. We had a big club. It was a very popular one, and that's where I met most of the people that are currently my friends.